The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on me.
Hey everybody, and welcome to All You Can Eat. It's the podcast about deliciousness. I'm your host, Rob Rosenthal, coming to you live from New York City, New York, where it is a pleasant 39 degrees. Today is the 19th day of February in the year 2020. It's the night of the Democratic debate taking place in an hour or so, featuring, in fact, the first-time appearance of the former mayor of New York City, Mayor Bloomberg. But anyway, let's get on to tonight's show, because if you're here, I'll tell you what you can expect this evening. I am going to recommend things. I am a recommender. And tonight's recommendations run a pretty wide range of subjects, from cities to visit, restaurants to go to, hotels, cocktails, crackers, spices, books, everything. So stay with me this evening, and I am going to recommend a series of things to make your life a little bit more delicious. And that's going to include, I'll give you a head start right now, two what I would call sponsors. One, Simple Mills, a company that makes a whole lot of packaged foods, crackers and mixes to make cornbread and pancakes, this kind of thing. But what really sets the company apart is that they're making delicious whole food using only whole food ingredients and nothing ever artificial. So we're going to be talking about Simple Mills later. And also a shout out to the good folks from the Spice House. The Spice House is a place where I get, spices. We're going to talk about that later, because as a guy who has written a cookbook, but is also, I suppose, somewhat lazy when it comes to cooking, I want to get, again, the most taste, fewest ingredients, least effort, and there is no better way to achieve that than by using spices. So we'll get over to the Spice House later. In the meantime, for those of you who have been following along, I have been in the travel zone so much over the past year. The most recent trips include Napa Valley, which I spoke about in detail last time we were together here on the show, Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock for All You Can Eat. And but I didn't get to in the discussion on Napa, because that took up the entire time, was San Francisco itself. Because we flew into San Francisco. From there, you can drive quickly over to Napa Valley, to Sonoma, to where I go, Marshall, California, because I'm going to have barbecued oysters up there on Tomales Bay. We spoke about that. Going to have a lot of wine. Or from San Francisco, frankly, you can drive south instead of north, and you find yourself in another really super beautiful part of the world, right? You're in Big Sur, Monterey, Carmel, just lovely on the ocean. Oh my God, just beautiful stuff out there. I didn't have a chance, though, to discuss San Francisco, and I preface this by saying that I'm a city guy coming to you from New York. I've spent pretty much my entire life here. I was born in this city. I like cities. East Coast cities, West Coast cities, doesn't matter to me. I like a good city. Take me to Austin. Take me to Madison. Take me to Portland, Maine, and Portland, Oregon. Take me to New York, Philadelphia, and on the West Coast. Give me, L.A., San Francisco. It's a great city, and again, I'm in the business of recommending things, but I'm also in the of the philosophy of full disclosure. And I have been to San Francisco a number of times. Don't get me wrong; I'm always happy there. I've ridden a bicycle over the over the bridge. I've eaten beautiful food. I've stayed at nice hotels. But I'll tell you what, I hate to say it, they got a homeless problem now. A lot of cities do. I mean, you could make the same complaint about New York. You could say the same thing about Santa Monica. You could go to cities all over. The thing about San Francisco, though, is it's just so present. It's so out there. It's unavoidable, and it's sad. And it's sad because they are. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but they're very close to the source of an awful lot of money over there in Silicon Valley, and yet you can't help walking around San Francisco feeling like, wow, there's a lot of people out here on the street, and half of them are clearly, out of their minds. That said, I remember that Anthony Bourdain, like I had a mental note that Bourdain in one of his shows, the show where they do where he did the stopover, was eating something in San Francisco, and I remember thinking, I have to get there. Well, this trip I did, and it's called the Swan Oyster Depot. And the other confession that I make to you is that I like I like institutions. I like old school. I like classics. Places that have stood the test of time. Places that have been in business 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. These are the places that stand out to me. And so I was already predisposed. I mean, Bourdain was there, loves it, goes all the time. Swan Oyster Depot, you're going to have seafood. I'm happy with that. Place has been there for a long time. And I was fortunate enough to go solo. And I say fortunate solo because it's easy to get a seat. There's 18 seats at a counter at the Swan Oyster Depot. Right? Picture that. And picture that it looks still like, I don't know, like 60s. Counter seats, 18 of them. There's going to be invariably a line of people waiting. Although I got there early, I got there 11:30 as a single. There were a couple of seats available at the end of the counter. And I'm happy from the moment that I sit down because I feel in this place. You feel the history of the place. You feel that they've been doing things the same way for a very long time, and very successfully. You can see the camaraderie between the guys, the people, not just all guys, predominantly, but women working as well in there. And you can see the camaraderie and the teamwork. It's like a ballet behind that counter with they're serving food right there. And the menu's on the wall up in front of you, and the service could not be more accommodating and friendly. Would you like this? Bring you a second glass of that. What would you like to have? I mean, just charming, delightful. Like this is what it's supposed to be. Now, for me, that's all great, but of course, in a podcast about deliciousness, to me, it's about the food. Now, I know that there are certain things, again, as a kind of old school classicist, I'm here because I'm going to have some crabs. And I am also going to have, I'm going to have the thing that Bourdain had. Now, let me see if I can remember exactly what they called that, right? It is the... crab back, I think crab fat. Yeah, crab fat. You can go in and you can eat oysters and you can eat clams and you can eat all versions of seafood. You can see in the window that they have smoked salmon. Let me just see what else they got. Oh, yeah, right. You can see in the window that they have salmon. You can see lobsters. You can see the crabs. You can see the clams. There's some smoked trout. There's some whole fish. And the chowders, Boston clam chowder. But I know I'm there for the crab, so I have the crab legs, which they serve with a lovely sauce Louis, just nice kind of like a spicy Russian, I don't know, that kind of thing, mayonnaise based, sour cream based. And then I'm going to have the crab fat, which is coming basically served in the back of the crab that is cold and mushy and like tastes of the sea and has the sweetness of the crab, and then you kind of have a loaf of sourdough bread that you dip in it. It's just heavenly. I mean, it's the kind of thing that if it was a little early in the morning for me, normally I would be having like a nice glass of white wine with that, or, you could have a beer. the dudes next to me, restaurant chefs from Alaska, were having their seafood. They do like a little raw seafood thing with like salmon and whitefish and gorgeous. I couldn't help but be impressed also, by the way, with just the people behind, the people working it. Family operations, you can tell. Father, son, uncle, brother, whatever. Swan Oyster Depot, that was just fabulous. Yeah, I stopped in for a cocktail because San Francisco, again, there's so many things to like. It's a great city, and you got the hill, and you got the water, and you have the bridge, and you have culture and nightlife and food and areas and neighborhoods. Anyway, so a huge kind of cocktail culture, like a lot of great places for a martini. I stopped in for more than I should have over at the Tadich, Tadich Grill, lovely. That Swan Oyster, I hated to leave. It's actually worth going back to San Francisco simply for that. That's how good it was. I want one of those in New York. We have the Oyster Bar down here at Grand Central. It's great, but this place is different because it was intimate, because it was right there. You were right there with the food, and it was just marvelous, just super good. Love that. I'll say also, when you're in San Francisco, because there is a huge kind of Asian influence, culture, demography, you're going to have some really fine Asian food. In my case, I go in for the banh mi, the Vietnamese sandwich, which is my second favorite sandwich in the world. I've decided. Yeah, you're going to want to know the first, and I don't want to. It's not worth getting into right now. I could have actually had the first over at the Swan Oyster Depot because they were selling. I noticed smoked whitefish. I don't know if it was they wasn't salad though. Anyway, I digress, and what I'm digressing from is the banh mi sandwich. Banh mi is basically bread in Vietnamese. Is a hybrid of the French and the Vietnamese coming together. The French offer up this beautiful, perfect piece of bread that is at once soft and crispy, and the Vietnamese put inside it like some pickled daikon radish and carrots that give it a touch of sour. And then there's cilantro, that sprig of cilantro, which makes it kind of green and super fresh. And then there's a couple of chilies in the sandwich, which give it the spice factor. And then there's cold cucumber, which kind of calm down the spice factor, but give you the crunch. And then in there is the pork and the ham and the pate, which give you richness and sweetness. And one of the kind of defining characteristics, if you will, of the Vietnamese cuisine is their ability to touch on all elements of the palate, right? So you're getting a little sweet, you're getting a little salty, you're getting a little sour, you're getting a little bitter. All those ingredients come together in the banh mi sandwich. And so recommendation number, I don't know, 2 at this point. Let's call it 3. 2, whatever, that's fine. Banh mi, no matter where you get it, but San Francisco, you get it good. Miami, Florida was my next stop. Stayed in South Beach. Been there a lot, many times. When I was working in the international advertising business, we used to have meetings down there because we call it like the capital of Latin America, of South America, because you have an awful lot of maybe half the population. I don't know. Like I speak Spanish down there. To basically everybody. Because then they're from Cuba, they're from all throughout South America. I met people from Argentina, Venezuela, Costa Rica. So yeah, you get a lot of Latin action down there. The city, God bless, is on the ocean. South Beach, especially where I stay, is beach. Now I know that I'm not telling you something that you don't know, but I'm going to tell you, if you don't know, that South Beach is a lovely place to visit, especially midwinter. I don't want to be there in July and August. I'm going to be the first to admit it. It's hot, it's humid, it's sticky, but I'll tell you what, January, February, March, 80 degrees, jump in the ocean, walk along the boardwalk, and then, a ton of hotels. A ton of hotels. I'm going to recommend one, but it's really it's money. I mean, there's no question. I stay at a place called the One Hotel. The One Hotel is extraordinarily great. The rooms are super, super deluxe. You're right on the water. On the roof of the hotel, there is a phenomenally gorgeous swimming pool, restaurant, bar. The gym is super professional. Service is good. Restaurants inside. Bikes available to borrow for those who are guests of the hotel. In fact, I'll give you another thing to know about. I was there. Was it last weekend? Well, anyway, I was there the same time that the prince and why am I blanking on their names? They're in the news every day. They've just moved to Henry and the. I'm sorry, I'm just not good on the royalty thing. But let me put it this way: here's what the point is. They were there. They were in that hotel. Fancy, expensive, but One Hotel is the real deal. And the other thing I want to say about Miami is Joe's Stone Crab. I've eaten it over 4,000 restaurants around the world, and I would say that in truth, that Joe's is one of my 10 favorites. I've had memorable meals there, and frankly, every meal that I've had there has been extraordinary and simple. I mean, it's first of all, it's a solid martini, which you may end up having yourself because you're gonna have to wait. I mean, first of all, let's say this about Joe's. It's generally the top grossing restaurant in America. 38, 39, $40 million worth of business in one restaurant. And it's big, right? They're seating a lot of people. And your check is going to be, $85, $100 a person, right? But there's always a wait. I mean, you may know somebody and you may be able to slip somebody something and you may be able to shorten the wait. But generally speaking, be prepared to wait. And so what? So go to the bar and have a drink and chill. What's the rush? When you get in finally to take your seat, they'll bring you a basket of bread and rolls. Try not to fill up on it, but that brown bread there with the kind of onion inside is kind of irresistible. What are you going to have? I mean, sure, I've seen people go in there and order the fried chicken, and it's quite good, but that's not why you're going to Joe's. Restaurant called Joe's Stone Crab. Hello. So you're going to have stone crab. It comes in 3 or 4 different sizes. Get the one that is within your budget. Generally, bigger ones require you to do less work. And then to the table come these beautiful kind of rose-colored with a black claw and cracked stone crabs with the classic kind of mustard sauce that they bring along with it. Better than lobster, if you ask me. Just sweet and just delicious food, and it goes well with, fried sweet potatoes are very good. Fried green tomatoes are if you haven't had them, are just glorious, man. It's a little bit green. They're a little bit on the sour side, a little bit juicy on the outside. On the inside, they're crunchy on the outside. Again, they come with like a dipping kind of creamy thing that only accents their flavor. It's lovely. You're having stone crabs. You're having a beer or a martini or a glass of wine. The stone crabs are great. The place is not sexy in terms of dark or quiet. It's loud. It's big. It's whatever. But it's a happy food and happy people, as they should be. And then at the end of all that, you're feeling pretty good about things. And then you remember, wait, they also do that key lime pie here, don't they? Yeah. All right, so I know there's 4 of us. I mean, come on, 4 of us can have 1 key lime pie. So I ordered the key lime pie, 4 forks, and you know what we need on this thing? I think they came with some whipped cream. But one of the guests said, "Hey, is it possible to get more whipped cream? And any chance we can have some of that hot fudge?" I love Joe's Stone Crab. I'll always, in spite of the fact that I am literally a variety junkie, I always want something new. There are exceptions. And one of the exceptions to is Joe's. I will, when I go to Miami and I'm asked, "Hey, you want to try this great new place?" Or do you want to go to Joe's? And the answer is Joe's, because that's exactly what happened here. One more recommendation on Miami, South Beach in particular, a place called Taquiza, Taquiza. Why do I like Taquiza? Because they're doing killer Mexican food. And, you can get good Mexican food in a lot of places, in a lot of cities, in a lot of towns. You can also get it apparently now in South Beach, because Taquiza is making good stuff. Now, when you go, you can. I mean, it's not a huge menu, and the plates are not big, right? I mean, there's tacos. There's 10 different kinds of tacos, and this is what they sell. It's a taco joint. Lengua, which is one of the ones I had. That's tongue. You get your barbacoa, right, which is a braised brisket. You can have your asada, which is your grilled hanger steak. You can have your cochinita, which is your marinated pork. You can go with the carnitas, right, which is slow cooked pork. You can have the al pastor, which is pork sliced. You can have pollo, your chicken that is braised. You can have camarón, right, shrimp inside your taco. You can have the chapulines. Those are toasted grasshoppers. I didn't have them here, but last year in Mexico, I did try them. I wanted to try them to know if I was missing anything. I don't feel like I was. I tried them. Huitlacoche sounds weird, right? Mexican corn truffle is kind of a fungus that grows on corn, but it's totally edible. I had one of those. It's delicious. It's kind of an umami-ish vegetarian taco. And here's the thing: other than the tacos and the juices, they do an agua fresca, which translates into fresh water. And when it's made with watermelon, it's just delicious. You can certainly add tequila into it. They do. What's the other thing? Oh, I had this too. The horchata is one of those drinks that's made with nut milk, like almond milk. And they also have Mexican soda down there. Jarritos is that Mexican soda. But when you're not having tacos at Taquiza in South Beach, their non-taco menu of five offerings, one of which is kind of a dessert. One is a quinoa salad that you can add protein to. One is a quesadilla. You all know what that is. This one is made, interestingly enough, with squash blossoms, and so that's kind of a veg quesadilla. And then they do a elote, which is it's the great grilled corn on the cob, Mexican street style corn on the cob, which comes to you with with crema, which is your kind of sour cream. Mexican sour cream that has been infused with cilantro and jalapeno and hit up with cotija cheese, which is the white crumbly Mexican cheese. So you have grilled corn on the cob, charred on the outside. Corn is soft, bathed in this kind of cilantro jalapeno crema with cotija cheese. Heavenly. I mean, I don't even need. Here's the truth. Go in and have some reposado tequila straight up, right? Get me the elote, which is the grilled corn, and then I don't even need a taco, because they have a dish there which I haven't had anywhere else, including Mexico. It's called totopos, hand-torn blue masa chips that come to the table with salsa, and they come hot, and they come puffy, and they come blue. Do you know? I continue to be kind of amazed, really, if you think about it, that I'm eating. I mean, I have an addiction basically to tortilla chips more than anything, and these are not like, if you're expecting tortilla chips, you're not getting them. These are little puffy kind of pillows of blue corn, generally in triangular shape, but again, hand pulled, so irregular shaped. And they're tasty on their own, and they're warm, and the texture is unbelievable because you're getting a chew out of it. And the salsa that it comes with is fantastic. And yeah, sure, if you want, you can go also get it with guacamole, or get it with queso cheese. You can get it with frijole beans. That's damn good stuff. I mentioned Bourdain before, so here's another recommendation. And I know that I'm like ESPN in the sense that I'm just shifting from one thing to another. We go from a city to a hotel, to a restaurant, to a bar. And now I'm moving into Anthony Bourdain, a book called The Last Interview, and other conversations. You can get it online. I did. I was always an Anthony Bourdain fan. I'm sad to this day that he's not around. I don't still understand why. But anyway, here's another recommendation I enjoyed, and it's a very quick read. Anthony Bourdain, The Last Interview. For those of you who know, I am the Costco Ho. I am there virtually every week of my life. Sometimes I find something and I go, look at you, Costco, turning me on to something new. I had no idea. And this past week, it was Kirkland, that's the house brand, mixed nut butter with seeds. I have been having almond butter generally as a rule, but I saw the mixed nut butter with seeds and I thought, all right, let's give it a try. It's almonds and cashews make up the butter, and then they put into it pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, and flax seeds. I'm not a guy that's going to tell you that I am a big seed eater. On the other hand, now having said that, I do have those toasted pumpkin seeds a lot. I love the crunch, whether it's in like an oatmeal or in salad or in in this stuff. This stuff is fantastic. Kirkland brand mixed nut butter. You're going to love this stuff. You know, almond butter can be a little kind of heavy. Cashew, when you mix it with the cashew, all of a sudden it's the texture becomes a little bit more creamy, a little more creamy. And the nuts, the pumpkin seeds, which I like, the chia and the flax, all works together to make a really great product. I like it a lot. Now, I want to shout out again, as I said to you before, my people over at Simple Mills. I have had their products before, and I've always liked them because it's a company that appears to me to really care what they're putting into their product. Again, they're not paying me for this, so what you're getting is 100% pure. Rob Rosenthal coming at you, recommendation. Simple Mills is a company that is doing kind of nutrition-packed food. As I said to you before, almond flour baking mix, almond flour crackers, which I like, and I've had before like rosemary maybe. They do cookies. They're going to do bars like soft baked dark chocolate almond flour bar, right, or a nutty banana bread bar. I have also tried. In fact, I made last week their banana muffin and bread mix, which is gluten-free, and required me to add, if I recall, 1 egg, neutral oil. I wonder if I had to add anything else. I don't think so. Easy to make, tasty food, completely gluten-free. They also do, chocolate chip cookies in there, and there's also, as I said to you, their kind of almond flour crackers, including the fine ground sea salt, which I liked. And then they do a rosemary and sea salt, which I like. Now, that all said, I'll tell you right now, simplemills.com is going to make it easy for you. That all said, I have now in front of me a new product from Simple Mills. Sorry. And here's the product. You ready for this? All right, I don't want to chew like a cow, but I just want to make the point that that's crazy crunchy. And it's brand new from them. It's a sprouted seed cracker, jalapeno flavor. Now, I'm going to now tell you why you care about sprouted seeds from Simple Mills. Grain-free, gluten-free, vegan, paleo-friendly, and real cracker crunch. If you didn't hear it, part of what I love about that cracker is the intensity of the crush, of the crunch. Long story short, you grow up on Ritz. It's soft, it's lovely, it's buttery, it's great. And then there's the other kind of cracker. And this one here is the other kind, I suppose, because it's intensely crunchy. With sprouted seeds like chia flax and sunflower give you an awful lot of kind of like nutrient absorption. That's what it comes down to. So it's a good cracker. It's a healthy cracker, and you can find Simple Mills at simplemills.com, and I'm sure that they have a store locator too, so that you can find that. I'm going to jump here now. Yeah, I'm a fan. Simple Mills. Yeah, you want to check them out. Good stuff. Good stuff. Happy eating that. And then finally, I mentioned the Spice House before, and I may come back to them again in a week or so when I actually have a chance to use some more of their products. But 400 spices, made fresh, sourced from around the world, whether it's the spice or they do blends, they do herbs, they do extracts. I am going. There's a curry powder that I like. I'm going to check out their Oaxacan Ancho Coffee salt-free rub. And anyway, if you're going to want spices, and here's why. I do a class. I teach a class, both a cooking class and a lecture. It's called 10 Spices, Herbs and Spices That Will Change Your Life. It's the easiest way to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary by hitting it up with a spice. One of the places you can go for that is thespicehouse.com. And then finally, so that's another recommendation. And I am going to now offer you yet one more segment here, if we can make it work, technically speaking. I had a conversation with a guy named Bob Ambrose, and Bob knows his foie gras, which is a fancy way of saying big fat duck liver. And so Bob and I had a conversation about foie gras just an hour or two ago, which I'm going to play for you right now, and then I will come back. Okay, hey Bob Ambrose, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, sir?
I'm feeling good about things now, actually. I'm excited in general. But I'm always happy to talk about food, and I'm particularly excited to talk with an expert on the subject of foie gras.
Great.
So let's start from the very beginning. Tell people where you are in the world and who you work for.
Okay. Well, I'm one of the partners in Bella Bella Gourmet and Lapel Farms. Bella Bella Gourmet is a kitchen, USDA kitchen, and a distribution center for LaBelle Farms, which is a duck farm in Sullivan County, New York. The town is Ferndale. And Bella Bella Gourmet is in West Haven, Connecticut.
Nice. And you and I both know that when it comes to West Haven, there's no better pizza in the world than the clam pizza at Zoo Parties. Am I right?
Exactly. Twice a month on that.
I like that. I'll probably see you there one day by mistake, by accident. Hey, Bob, so let's start off at the very beginning. Tell people what foie gras literally translates into.
Okay, so foie gras translates to fat liver. Now, years ago, foie gras was only goose. Everyone, still to this day, many people still think that it's goose liver. But over the years, that has changed. The foie gras that we produce at LaBelle Farms and the foie gras that's produced mainly in France, Canada, and all over the world is Moulard duck foie gras.
Nice.
The Moulard duck is a hybrid, a male Muscovy and a female Pekin duck. The name Moulard translates to mule, French to English, because it actually hauls the liver. So very special duck produced just to produce foie gras. Geese were very ill-tempered and disease-prone, so that's why years ago it was looked into producing foie gras with another bird.
Nice. Okay, so the liver comes out of the duck, and then explain what happens next. How is it generally prepared?
Right. In the U.S., a lot of chefs love nothing better than a piece of seared foie gras. So they'll take that whole grade A liver. The liver breaks into, there's two separate lobes that are together. They'll pull those two lobes apart, slice it into scallops, and just season it with a little salt, a little grind of fresh pepper, and sear it in a dry pan. The best way, I believe, to eat foie gras is salt, pepper, and then you top it with a little fleur de salt. Best way to eat it, all natural.
And do you also, do you serve it with like if you're going to eat it, okay, fine. I mean, it's a great straight up, and as a purist, I'll go that way. But do you serve it with like a piece of bread or toast generally?
Yeah, usually you serve it with something crunchy. The fleur de salt gives a little crunch on top and helps cut through the fat. Mm-hmm. Some people always serve it with a piece of crusty bread. But the sear, sometimes you look for different things, to be creative and give that crunch in a different fashion, like a croquant, just something with a crunch, or even different poppy seeds I put in the sauces to serve with foie gras, just to get it that crunch in another fashion without having to use a piece of bread.
And speaking of sauce, since you do serve it with the sauce, what's your kind of idealized accompaniment to this thing?
Right. Traditionally, people will pair it with something on the sweeter side. Raspberry coulis, some kind of sauce that has known for its sweetness, fig, or balsamic glaze. Over the years, I found I like to do different things with it. Use something with a little more acid in it, something with a little more spice in it. Really, the only thing that limits you is your imagination. The purists like to stay to the sweeter sauces. I like to do some, different things, be a little creative, use ingredients from Japan to make a sauce, use ingredients from, different areas to make sauces. I was just down in Bogota last year where we used some different local fruits, to make sauces that were incredible.
Now, so one preparation method is going to be the sear in the hot pan, and then another is if you're going to go with like the torchon, the kind of the method where you're going to cure it. Talk a little bit about that one.
Right. So the torchon translates French to English to dish towel. So torchon is not actually the recipe for the dish. It's more the device, the vessel that you actually cook the product in, or roll it tight. The torchon shape is a cylinder shape of foie gras. Mm-hmm. With this preparation, you're going to take a whole lobe of foie gras grade A. You're going to clean it, pull the veins out. You're going to make sure it's very clean. Then you're going to season it with salt, pepper, very minimally. Plenty of salt, a little bit of pepper, maybe a pinch of sugar, and cure it with some Sauterne wine. Then you're going to roll it really tight. And that's why they would use the dish towel years ago. Now you have access to plastic wrap. You're going to roll it really tight. You can roll it really tight to get that cylinder shape in plastic wrap. There's different methods. Thomas Keller, years back, about 15 years back, came out with a recipe where he actually poached it. He rolled it into that cylinder shape, let it cure in cheesecloth overnight, and hanging it in a cooler, and then poached it for about 90 seconds in stock, and then pulled it out, rolled it tight again, and chilled it very quickly. So it was cured in the center, not cooked in the center, and basically all the 90 seconds did was get the outside a little cooked and made it easy to get that nice cylinder shape on it. We're a USDA plant, so we need to cook it a little more than that. Mm-hmm. So what we do is the same preparation where we clean the veins, we cure it overnight, and then we cook it sous vide style, nice and low and slow.
Lovely. And let's also talk about the other way that we normally would see foie gras in front of us, especially in a restaurant setting. Pâté de foie gras. Tell people about that, what it is, and how that comes together.
Right. Well, pâtés, terrines, and foie gras. Of the two of those items, terrines and torchons are very close relatives. A terrine of foie gras is more about the vessel that you use to cook it in. Mm-hmm. A terrine mold, a loaf pan. So you're taking the foie gras in a similar fashion, cleaning the veins out, you're seasoning it, with something, salt, we use salt, pepper, sauterne, pinch of sugar, and then we press it into the train mold. So instead of rolling it tight like a torchon, we're pressing it tight into a train mold. Then we're cooking it, again, low and slow, at a low temperature cooking. And then what you're going to do is chill that product out like the torchon and slice it and serve it. Traditionally with, similar accoutrements, something crunchy, always that little sprinkle of fleur de sal. Now, pate, on the other hand, is usually something smaller pieces chopped, ground, or an emulsification, usually in a similar terrine type mold. So more of like a force meat type product, or an emulsification if you're talking about foie gras.
Yeah, and in that case, you're probably using more than just the liver itself to kind of bring that.
Correct. Yeah, maybe you're incorporating duck meat into it. Maybe you're incorporating chicken because it's more neutral in flavor, so you can still get the foie gras, flavor through. But there is 100% foie gras pâtés that are emulsifications, as well.
And what do we like to drink with our foie gras?
Traditionally, years ago, sauterne is what people, that's the first thing a real purist looks for. But, times have changed. It's whatever you like to drink. If you want to drink, red wine with it, you drink, whatever you like to drink. But a purist will always opt for the sauterne.
The very sweet kind of dessert white wine from, yeah.
Exactly. In Canada, they have the ice wines where they don't pair foie gras with that a lot as well.
That makes sense, too, as well. What else? And by the way, even before I ask you, here's another one for you. What is it that makes it so kind of luxurious, so delectable? How do you, for people who are kind of not connoisseurs or aren't sure that they want to eat something called, duck liver, how do you kind of introduce the taste, the idea?
Right. Well, I always say, taste it first. When we do events and people come by, I'm not even sure what it is. Sometimes they'll just taste it and ask what it is. And sometimes I'll tell them, taste it and try it. And they'll say, boy, actually just today at an event, somebody said to me, that tastes like meat butter. It's got a real rich, meaty flavor, but it's got the richness of butter. They said, it's incredible. I've never had anything like that before.
Yeah.
So when you hear something like that, it gets you excited about what you do. When people are so excited for the first time trying it, and they describe it in a way that you've never heard before.
Yeah, that's a very good report, and meat butter makes perfect sense. I mentioned to you that, when I went to cooking school, it was a French cooking school, it was a long time ago, but I will never forget the first time that we cooked the foie gras, like the entire lobe, and did what you said, separated it into two different lobes, pulled out the veins, and then went into a hot, dry saute pan. No lubrication required, obviously, because there's plenty of fat in the liver itself. And I'll tell you, man, that is one awesomely delicious piece of food.
Right, yeah, you always use a dry pan, you never have to use it.
Yeah, exactly right. Tell folks...
Salt, pepper.
That's it. Tell folks what's going on in New York State, because there was some discussion about making foie gras illegal.
Right, so November 2019, the mayor signed off on a bill to ban the sale of foie gras in the 5 boroughs of New York. We are currently fighting it, and we are very confident that we will be successful. It's an illegal act. The foie gras we produce on a registered farm. It's a wholesome ingredient. If people would understand the physiology of the duck, they would know that we're not overfeeding the duck. So it's signed, but we are confident. We have 3 years to November 2022 before this takes place, but we are very confident that we will succeed.
Well, I hope so, because I'm a fan of the product, and I know that you also pay a lot of attention to the animals just in general. I mean, obviously it's not just the the duck's liver that you sell, but the entire animal.
Right, everything gets utilized. The foie gras, the breast, the legs, the breast are prized. Only the breast of a foie gras duck can be called magret.
Mm-hmm.
The magret eats, you cook it medium rare, you let it rest, you slice it on the bias. It eats like the most delicious steak, the liver and parts. It kisses it with such a flavor that's incredible. The legs, the Moulard duck legs, famous for preparing confit. The richness that the foie gras puts into that. You know, all these ducks, because of the liver being inside them, are air chilled too, so they don't have any excessive water from water chilling, so they have an intense flavor, not only from the liver, but from the whole air chilling process. And all the trimmings get used in producing duck sausages, duck pâtés, all the skin, every piece of skin gets rendered into duck fat. Chefs use duck fat from everything from poaching halibut to rubbing on a steak. You know, almost every chef has a container of some kind of duck fat in their refrigerator that they can use for any number of different things. Roasting potatoes. All the feathers go into the down industry, and then every bone that's left goes into either soups, stocks, for chefs, for individuals, and anything that's left ends up in the pet food industry. So even all the bones go into the pet food industry that are, you know, after the chefs, you know, take theirs.
I'm going to tell you, that's not a surprise for me. I love duck. I think it's underappreciated in this country. I think it's underused. You'll be interested perhaps to know that I was over at Whole Foods today, and I specifically went over there to get my duck fat before I even knew I was going to be talking to you, because I'm roasting potatoes this weekend. I'm a big fan of it. I also have it in my house, and I started to turn my friends on to it because I didn't even know it existed. But you can now, in the same way that you can spray olive oil and avocado oil, I found duck fat spray, and I use that as well. So I'm a fan. Tell people finally, Bob, where they are going to find the company, the product, and more information.
Okay, our duck farm is La Belle Farms. The company that distributes it and our USDA kitchen is Bella Bella Gourmet. They go on bellabellagourmet.com. That's where they can buy our duck products, or your local wholesalers, you know, for chefs, sell them all over North America, South America, Canada, Mexico. You know, we're a global company.
bellabellagourmet.com, is that right?
Correct.
I love it. And I'll be the first one on because, as I said, I'm a fan. Thank you, Bob Ambrose. Appreciate the help. Looking forward to my next taste of foie gras.
Great. Thank you so much.
Well, that is what I'm talking about right there. To recap, what you want to know here is Bella Gourmet, Bella Gourmet, GOURMET.com, and you go on there and you go, foie gras. Let's see, foie gras nuggets, charcuterie, duck provisions like smoked duck bacon, chorizo. Made with duck. I don't know. It is, and we don't eat enough duck. I mean, at some point, I suspect it has to change. I think. What do I know? I mean, I eat as much chicken as anybody, but still, every once in a while, you should have some duck. We don't eat enough rabbit in this country, which is amazing food. I don't see really much of it around. Makes no sense to me, because it is delicious too. bellabellagourmet.com. When you need yourself some crackers, especially if you want, you know, like, I mean, I don't know, I hate to use the word healthy, but, you know, kind of they're made with, it's grain-free, it's gluten-free, it's vegan paleo-friendly, it's crunchy, it's yummy, I've had it, and it comes from Simple Mills. And the Spice House, when you need spices. And so thanks to all three of them. Three of the recommendations that we made tonight. Let's see, what else did we talk about? San Francisco, but specifically, the banh mi sandwich, but more specifically the Swan Oyster Bowl. Let's call that number 4. Miami as a city, you don't need me to tell you to go to South Beach, the One Hotel, number 5. Joe Stonecrab, number 6. Tequiza, the Mexican place, number 7. So, and the Bourdain book, 8. And then the nut butter from, where was that? From Costco, 9. I recommend things. Been a lot of places, seen a lot of things, and I put a lot of them into me, if you know what I'm saying. So that's the show, episode number 73 of All You Can Eat. I'll give you one final recommendation if you're interested in a cookbook that I happen to have written. It's called Short Order Dad, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free. Go on to Amazon, Short Order Dad. Go ahead and read the reviews for yourself. I'm totally good with that. What makes the book different, other than the fact that I wrote it, I hope with a sense of humor, is, I show people how to, tell them what they need to know, basically. Here's what you should have in the pantry. This is the equipment you need in the kitchen. These are the 10 fundamental cooking techniques. And then my recipes are all predicated on the simple, user-friendly formula known as most taste, fewest ingredients, least effort. Short Order Dad, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free on Amazon. This is episode number 73. I'm going to be back with you next Wednesday night, right around 8 o'clock, to talk about all things delicious. Until then, my friends, I am signing off for now. This is Rob Rosenthal. Remember, life is short, so never waste a meal.
I'm the Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on